So I am Cadet Ken Rivera, and I'll be talking about the MARPOL Annex 6, which talks about the prevention of air pollution from ships. So without further ado, let us start our presentation. So let us first know the history and ratification of Annex 6. So when did it start? How did it start? So the Annex 6 was adopted by the 1997 Conference of the Parties to the MARPOL Convention. So it was entered into force on 19th day of May 2005. So as the result of a 3 years examination, so the MEPC 58, so which happened on October 2008, adopted the revised MARPOL Annex 6 and the associated nitrogen oxide technical code of 2008, which was entered into force on July 1, 2010. So there's no need for you to be confused. So because the Annex 6 was entered into force on 19th of May 2005, while the nitrogen oxide technical code in 2008 entered into force July 1 of 2010. So there is a 5-year difference between those two. And let us talk about the purpose of the Annex 6. So what is the purpose of Annex 6? So ships have become the single biggest source of sulfur oxide emission. So within the EU, so Europe, so US EPA, so it stands for the US Environmental Protection Agency, reports the similar findings. So the purpose of Annex 6 aims to reduce emissions from ships through international regulations, which discourage states from enacting unilateral regulations problematic to the shipping industry. So that is the purpose of Annex 6. So the next slides will be reported by my fellow cadets. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Cadet Christian Mark Baga, reporting of what is the ODS, VOC, and NOx. For the ODS, or ozone depleting substances, there are man-made chemicals which degrade the ozone layer in upper atmosphere. Within the marine context, these are the halogens, as used in somewhat older firefighting systems, and the chlorofluorocarbons, or CFC, used as refrigerants in insulation material. ODS, or ozone depleting substances, are chemicals that destroy the Earth's protective ozone layer. They include chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, carbon tetrachloride, or CCl4, methyl chloroform, or CCl3. Next is hydrobromofluorocarbons, or CBFCs. And last is methyl bromide, CH3Br. The use of these chemicals is controlled by the Montreal Protocol on Substances that deplete the ozone layer. There are other ozone depleting substances, but their ozone depleting effects are very small, so they are not controlled by the Montreal Protocol. Next is, what is VOC, or volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are the large group of chemicals that are found in many products we use to build and maintain our homes. Once they are chemical are in our homes, they are released or off gas into the indoor air we breathe. They may or may not be able to be smelled, and smelling is not a good indicator of health risk. Common examples of VOCs that may be present in our daily lives are benzene, ethylene glycol, methylene chloride, and xylene. For the NOx. NOx, nitrogen oxides, or NO, are usually grouped together as NOx emissions. The NOx emissions contain predominantly NO, which forms mainly in oxidation of atmospheric nitrogen in high temperature. NO can also be formed through oxidation of the nitrogen in fuel and through chemical reaction with fuel radicals. Examples of NOx are nitrous oxide or NO, nitrogen dioxide or NO2, nitrous oxide or N2O, dinitrogen dioxide or N2O3, dinitrogen tetroxide N2O4, dinitrogen oxide or pentoxide N2O5. Last is tinitramide or N4O6. That's all for
Sir, this is
my part.
and I will tackle the contribute to environmental problems including acidification or acid rain or NOx or SOx, eutrophication or oxygen depletion of inland and some coastal waters NOx, the creation of ground level ozone VOCs and NOx, the depletion of atmospheric ozone CFCs, the accumulation of PCBs and heavy metals in the food chain. That's all, sir.
So, as you can see, there are 4 pictures. The first picture illustrates caused by acid rain. Acid rain form caused by many factories that carries gases upward by the wind, and then gases combine with water droplets to form acid. The second picture is algal bloom. Algal blooms are the result of a nutrient like nitrogen or phosphorus from fertilizer runoff entering the aquatic system and causing excessive growth of algae. The process of oversupply of nutrients leading to algal growth and oxygen depletion is called eutrophication. So the third picture is harmful algal blooms, dead zones, and fish kills are the result of a process called eutrophication. Eutrophication, which occurs when the environment becomes enriched with nutrients, increasing the amount of plant and algal growth to estuaries and coastal waters. The ozone is formed when the heat and sunlight cause chemical reaction between oxides of nitrogen and volatile organic compounds, which are also known as hydrocarbons. This reaction can occur both near the ground and high in the atmosphere.
Hello, good day. I am Decadet Dabasol Gerald, and I'm going to continue our report about Annex 6. So, according to status of multilateral conventions of International Maritime Organization on 3rd of May 2011, there were 65 numbers of contracting states for this Annex 6, which is the prevention of air pollution from ships. So the combined merchant fleets, of which constitute approximately 89.82% of the gross tonnage of the world's merchant fleet. So there were 23 EU members states, including Norway and Croatia. For non-EU parties include Bahamas, Panama, Liberia, China, Republic of Korea, Marshall Islands, Japan, Singapore, US, and Russian federations.
Application of Annex 6. Valid International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate IEPC, confirming compliance with both the equipment and operational requirements of Annex 6. Restricts NOx emissions from diesel engines according to a corresponding technical code and applies to engines with a power output of more than 130 kilowatt. NOx emission from an engine is closely related to the design of the engine.
Restricts SOx emissions from ships by introducing a maximum sulfur content in marine fuels of 4.5%. Identifies SOx emission control areas or SECA and a maximum of 1.5%. The Baltic Sea is the only area that is defined as a SECA in Annex 6. States that in ports where there is a need to control the emission of VOCs, there's also a requirement for the ports to ensure appropriate recovery facilities are available.
Hello, good day. Cadet Eduardo Augustine here, and I will be discussing MARPOL Annex 6 prohibits the incineration of certain substances. Incinerator. It is mostly used to burn solid and liquid waste produced on ship during normal operation, and it is also important for reducing overall waste from ship. But this process of waste incineration poses a significant threat to public health and the environment. Here are the examples of substances that being incinerated, including PCBs, garbage containing traces of heavy metal, and refined petroleum products contain halogen. PCBs or polychlorinated biphenyls were used widely in electrical equipment like capacitor and transformer. But highly toxic industrial compounds that can use serious risk on children, these chemicals are also harmful to adults as well. Garbage containing traces of heavy metal. Persistent pollutants such as heavy metals can then enter the food chain through marine life, and exposure to metallic mercury vapors at higher level for shorter period of time can lead to lung cancer or lung damages. Refined petroleum products contain halogen, releases harmful gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and etc., which causes air pollution. It causes the UV radiation to fall on Earth by making hole in the ozone layer. It increases the greenhouse effect, will further increase the level of global warming. The major impact on health is the higher incidence of cancer and respiratory symptoms. Quality documentation of fuel or fuel oil. Fuel testing is vital as it ensures that you know the fuel oil you're bunkering and uses it for purposes. There are host of problems that can occur when your fuel, both from traditional heavy fuel oil to the more modern low sulfur fuel. Fuel with higher sulfur content than required by Regulation 14 of Annex 6 can be delivered to a ship where the ship uses an equivalent measure such as exhaust gas cleaning system.
The regulation, there are 19 regulations, but the following regulation will in fact be self-operation for Regulation 12, Regulation 13, 14, 15, and 16, and the last is 18. Regulation 12, ozone depleting substance, Chapter 3 requirements for control emission from ships, subject in the process of Regulation 3, any deliberate emission of zone depleting. The substance reference speed of resulting of equipment containing. And the 13 is NOx emission, the produced from reactions of nitrogen and oxygen gases in the air during combustion NOx cause serious health damage, human including respiratory disease and ozone and animal planet. And the 14, sulfur oxygen emission. The gases especially are emitted by burning fuels and coal diesels. The gases especially others materials and contain sulfur costs, including the power plant materials, processings and smelting facilities and vehicles. VOC emission or voltage organic compounds are emitted the gases from the certain salted liquids VOC, including the variety chemicals, some of which may have short and long-term advanced health effect of organic chemical. This VOC emission can affect of eyes and headache. 16. Shipboard incinerators. Ship facilitating designs from incinerators of waters, others materials on board generated during operation of the ship. And the last is 18. Fuel oil quantity control. Quantity sulfur gases for lubrication reduction of combustion energy being some problem, salt water the main problem resulting in